He thought he was saving a stranger from a deadly snake, but fate was saving him from an ordinary life. Arham had always loved wandering through the forest trails near his small village. It was the one place where he felt alive, far away from debts, responsibilities, and the endless struggle of finding work. That morning, the wind carried the scent of rain, and the leaves shimmered with tiny drops as he walked deeper into the wilderness. Suddenly, a sharp cry tore through the silence. Arham froze, then sprinted toward the sound. There, lying on the ground near a fallen tree, was a young woman, breathless, trembling, her legs swollen from a fresh snake bite. A venomous Russell's viper slithered away into the bushes as Arham dropped to his knees. She gasped, "Please, don't let me die." Without hesitation, he tore a strip of his shirt, tied a tight tourniquet above the wound, and leaned down to suck out the venom. She winced, but clung to his arm with desperate strength. Arham lifted her into his arms, her voice weak yet filled with fear. "My name is Isa." He comforted her as he hurried through the forest, whispering, "You'll be fine, I promise." The path was rough, and Isa's breathing slowed dangerously. She slipped in and out of consciousness, murmuring fragments that made no sense. "The fort, the map, my father." Arham thought her mind was drifting from the poison. After nearly an hour of fighting through thorny bushes and slippery rocks, he reached an old abandoned ranger hut he knew from childhood. He laid her down, started a fire, and treated the wound again. "Why were you alone in such a dangerous area?" he asked softly. She struggled to speak. "I was looking for something that belonged to my family." Arham gave her water and watched her eyes flicker with both pain and determination. "Promise me," she whispered, "if I don't survive, take this pouch and give it to the caretaker of Fort Rahim." Arham frowned. Fort Rahim? The ancient ruins outside the village? Rumors always said a wealthy family once owned it, but no one believed the stories. Isa pressed the leather pouch into his palm with trembling fingers. Inside was a heavy old ring with a royal crest, the same crest carved on the fort's main gate. Arham stared at it, stunned. Who was she? Before he could ask, her body went limp for a second, and he panicked. He wrapped her in his jacket, lifted her again, and began running toward the main road. Hours later, he reached a passing jeep and begged the driver to take them to the nearest hospital. Isa's condition stabilized, but she remained unconscious. Arham waited outside the ward, clutching the ring she had entrusted to him. He didn't know why, but he felt connected to her, drawn to her strength despite her fragile state. The doctor finally came out and said she was safe. Relief washed through him like a storm. The next morning, Isa woke up, but her first words left Arham speechless. "I owe you my life, and more than you can imagine." She asked him to come with her to Fort Rahim, saying she had something important to reveal. Arham agreed, unaware that this journey would rewrite his destiny and expose secrets buried for generations. The next day, Isa insisted they leave for Fort Rahim, her legs still bandaged, but her spirit fierce. Arham walked beside her, uneasy yet curious. The fort had always been a place of mystery, whispers of hidden wealth, old family feuds, and an heiress who vanished decades ago. As they approached the massive stone entrance, Arham's eyes softened. As she brushed her fingers over the ancient carvings, Isa said quietly, "My grandfather built this fort. My father was its last guardian, before he disappeared." Arham stared at her in disbelief. The girl he rescued wasn't an ordinary traveler, She belonged to a legacy lost in history. Isa took out the ring he had saved and slipped it on her finger. The crest glowed faintly when it touched her skin, as if the fort itself recognized its owner. She led him to a side chamber where an elderly man sat waiting, the fort's lifelong caretaker, Badur. His eyes widened in shock. You are her," he whispered. Isa nodded, tears brimming. "I found the documents my father hid. He wanted me to restore the fort and protect what's inside." Badur unlocked a dusty wooden chest and revealed maps, gold coins, and a sealed letter addressed to Isa Rahim Khan. She trembled as she opened it. The letter was her father's last message, telling her she was the rightful heiress, urging her to return and build their legacy. Arham watched silently, overwhelmed. Then Isa turned to him. "If you didn't save me, I would never have reached here. I would have died without knowing who I truly am." She stepped closer, her voice softening. "This legacy means nothing if I stand alone. And I don't want to stand alone anymore." Arham felt his heart pound. Could she mean what he thought? She held his hand, her eyes brimming with emotion. "Stay with me. Help me rebuild this place. Help me honor my father." Arham, who lived his whole life without a purpose, without belonging, finally felt something shift inside. "I'll stay," he whispered. "Not because of the fort, but because of you." Isa smiled, tears rolling down her cheeks. Badur slowly bowed his head. "The heiress has returned, and she is not alone." In the months that followed, the ruins came alive again. Villagers worked together, the fort buzzed with repair, and Isa and Arham became inseparable. What began as a rescue in the wilderness turned into a bond that neither had planned, but fate had written long ago. The man who saved her life became the man who stood beside her, not as a guard or a worker, but as the partner destiny had chosen. And every time Isa looked at Arham, she whispered the words that had changed everything. "You didn't just save my life, you saved my legacy."